Now our first guest is something of a literary legend and has even been inducted into the Writers' Hall of Fame of America, joining the likes of Mark Twain and Ernest Hemingway. Not bad. Her books have been so popular that many of them have been made into films starring countless familiar faces.
This is the part where assassins come leaping out of every doorway.
I admire your composure, Mrs. O'Neill.
Well, I don't hear your teeth chattering.
If it's any consolation, those flowers were meant for me.
Please welcome Barbara Taylor Bradford. So that was from
To Be the Best, with lovely Anthony Hopkins and Lindsay Wagner.
Wow. Must be very nice.
But he's gorgeous.
People of that calibre speaking your words that you've written. Is that amazing?
Yes, it is in a way, but my husband, you know, makes all the movies, so at least I know he's not going to take a title and use the title and throw the book away.
Right. No, he wouldn't dare, would he?
No.
Does he let you check the screenplay, though? Or do you actually write the screenplay?
I've done a couple, but, you know, he always says to me, we're making a movie, not a book, you know, Bob. And it's true. You can't really put it on television because there's so much other stuff going on in the book. But I'm happy with them. He's made 10,
wow,
including A Woman of Substance, you
Which
know,
was
with
amazing.
Jenny Seagrove.
Yes. Amazing. That was our first introduction to you, really, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was my first novel.
Wow, there you go. You see.
And you know what? I've forgotten it until recently. Hello, ladies. You know, it's 30 years old next year.
Wow, is it?
Wow.
Is it really? Goodness.
It came out in 1979, 1980, and next year it's 2009.
But you don't stop, though, do you? 24 novels and countless books before that weren't... I mean...
Why? You're going to ask me why?
Yeah, how? Why?
Well, because that's who I am, and that's what I do. And look,
please don't ever stop.
No.
Oh,
because I'm such
you.
a fan. I live your books.
Oh,
I am the women in your
you.
books. Well, I think I am.
Well, I think you are. You all are. Yes, you're all women of substance. You know what it is? Do you ever ask an actress why she still makes a movie or goes on a stage?
Quite often, because I'm quite interested in why people just don't stop and relax and have a nice time.
I don't know what I do. Well, I am relaxed, but I've done it since I wrote my first I sold my first short story when I was 10. And I started writing when I was 7. So how do you stop doing that? I've done it all my life. You know, I love it.
Is it arduous for you? Is it sort of, do you have to rip the book from yourself, or does it just flow now with you? Is it easy?
Well, every book is hard because every book is about different people, unless it's the Heart series, you know, and you've got repeats there of characters that have been in other books. But it's tough work. It's hard. I do it this way anyway. I have to keep that story in my head at all times. I mean, I have written down the plot, obviously.
Right.
But
how does that come to you? How do you get to that stage even where you just think of an idea and think that'd be a good story?
Yeah, it's usually a person that comes into my head from where I don't know. It comes by imagination, or maybe I've seen something on television in a documentary, or I've read a story in a newspaper and it triggers something, or it just comes to me. I don't know. My husband, who has made all of those miniseries and movies of the week, says it's a gift. And perhaps it is. I mean, if you talk or interview actresses or actors, I mean, it doesn't have to be a woman, it can be a man, and it can be a male writer as well as a woman writer. But they've done it since childhood, and that's what I think part of the secret is. You've almost been born with the desire.
And imagination.
And and that's what you have to be a novelist. You know, a lot of people can write beautiful words and beautiful prose, but they haven't an imagination, and therefore, you know what it is? They don't know how to tell a lot of lies.
Oh, interesting.
Which that's what you do when you write about something that never happened.
Now, Being Elizabeth is the latest book. Can you tell us anything about the inspiration behind that?
Yes, it's part of a series. It's the last in a series of 3 books, but it stands alone. You could have not read the others, no. This is from 1996 to 2006. 10 years in a young woman's life when she takes over the family company. All the men who have run it for years don't want women there. Well, yes, as you know, in menial jobs,
right,
but no executives. Her sister has made a mess of it before her for 5 years, so she's a lot to do. She's to drag it into the 21st century, run it properly, make it work, prove that she's as good as the men, and she's always also coping with her personal life.
So is there a person you had in mind as sort of inspiration?
You know.
I've heard a whisper of who it might have been based on.
I'll tell you what I did. I took the first 10 years of the reign of Elizabeth Tudor, Elizabeth I, and I made a parallel modern life with a young woman running a company.
Instead of a country.
And instead of a country, instead of being on a throne, she's in the managing director's seat. And when something good happened to Elizabeth Tudor at, say, 25, which was getting the throne, then that's when Elizabeth Turner, my modern Elizabeth, got the job. So when something bad happened to Elizabeth Tudor, something bad would happen to Elizabeth. I made parallel lives, but it was awfully hard to keep it straight at times. But you know, it's got a lot of drama. It's got all the kind of drama that happened to Elizabeth, but I've had the first Elizabeth, Queen, but I've had to really translate it to modern times. You know, she couldn't get smallpox well, she could, I suppose, but now, so it has to be, she got a rare form of pneumonia. So her lover is married but separated. Well, we've all heard that story, haven't we?
Fantastic. and you've met sort of the current monarch, of course, because you've been given an OBE?
Yes, it was last year at this time, actually.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Listen, thank you so much for joining us. We're out of time, but we're all halfway through the book, and it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much. Barbara Taylor Bradford, everyone.
Thank you.
Time for another quick break, but when we return, do good manners make the man. Back soon.